Okay, so we're on the air. We thought we were going to be on the air, but we are. It's recording. We are in the building on a Tuesday night.
Let's get it.
Yes. So how you been? How are you?
I've been good.
Second time around. Hey.
I'm very excited.
So this is your second podcast under your belt with Kingdom Talks. I love it.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a regular now.
Oh, you are going to be a regular. You're official, girl.
Like I'm official. Okay.
You're welcome
I'm
here.
Certified.
You're welcome here anytime, girl.
Thank you.
For those that don't know and haven't watched her podcast that she did with me, you guys can jump on the digital platforms wherever you're listening, whether it be Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Search it. I don't remember what episode that was. That might have been in the 40s or in the 50s.
Probably. It was around sometime in October.
Yeah. So in the 40s, 50s. This is 66. Hey. 66. Episode 66. But for those that don't know, this is my friend, my sister from a different mister. Camila.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good.
All the way from the 305.
All the way from the 305.
Miami. Represent Miami. I appreciate you making the drive. Maybe one day, if you find me a spot in a space, I will drive to you.
Oh, what? No.
We'll take the podcast on the road.
Okay, let's do it.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, first road trip for Kingdom Talks. Yeah, I'm down
Kingdom
for
Talks
it.
Miami edition. so you just holler at me and let me know.
Yeah, I'll definitely.
But how was your weekend?
It was good. It was eventful. I have a new puppy.
Oh?
Husky.
Ooh.
4 months.
Oh my gosh.
So I am constantly on the move.
Yeah.
I'm constantly, my patience is being tested every day. So my hands are full, but it was good.
You got to potty train and all that stuff, right?
Oh yeah. And they're super energetic. They
those
do not give you personal space.
Yeah,
there's no personal space.
Huskies are a big breed too.
Yeah.
They're big boys.
Yeah.
Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy.
Nice. Name?
Sokka.
Sokka. Where'd that come from?
It is named not after the Avatar. Okay, not after Avatar. Not named. A lot of people ask me, but it's not. It's he's named after a soccer player from England, Sokka. Yeah.
So does he play at a particular club?
He plays for Arsenal.
Okay, not an Arsenal
shout out
person.
to Arsenal.
I'm not an Arsenal fan.
Neither am I. But shout out to Arsenal fans, I guess. My dog's named after one of your players.
For those that follow soccer or football, wasn't a great day over the weekend for Manchester United. They got smacked by Liverpool like 7-0. That was crazy.
Yeah, the games are getting intense.
They are.
Yeah,
and you know, football is definitely a very intense, passionate sport. And we're just literally not too far removed from the World Cup.
Yes.
And that was pretty crazy.
It was very hard for, and I'm Peruvian, so very hard for us because we didn't make it. Obviously, we lost against Australia.
Yeah.
So we had a chance and we blew it. So there's always 2026.
Hey, and it's gonna be
here in the United States. So we do actually have a chance. Both of us, Colombia and Peru, do have a chance to make it because more teams are going.
Yeah, more teams are going. It's gonna be in United States, and some games are gonna be played in Mexico. So that'd be cool. I know that Miami's gonna be in arena for it. All the major cities: Miami, New York, Chicago, LA. I want to say Seattle has one, and I think Vegas has a date for the World Cup in 2026. So excited for that.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. But what else is new? What else? I saw Ant-Man.
Oh, I did too.
Yes. Did you like it?
I liked it.
Yeah.
You know, there was getting hate.
Yeah, there was.
It was getting a lot of hate, but I liked it.
It was a little slow in the beginning,
I mean,
but then
I think
it
was
picked
a
up.
typical movie.
Yeah.
Typical classic movie that
Marvel
you know how it goes, you know how it ends, but I liked it. It was good.
I didn't have really high expectations on Quantumania because I knew that Quantumania was a stepping stone to the next phases of Marvel.
Right.
Like it's going to set up like the major villain in upcoming Marvel movies. It's kind of like the connective tissue to other storylines that are going on.
I noticed that with the clips at the
yes,
the clips
the extra
after,
credit.
So if you stand up after the Marvel movie is over, you obviously aren't a Marvel fan. I learned that the hard way,
right?
Like a year ago.
Yeah.
When my brother said sit down, and I go, oh sorry, so I embarrassed him at the movie theater. But so I could tell that you don't, crazy stuff is gonna come down.
You don't want to like come off like you're not cultured in that, because you'll get like hounded, bullied and all that other stuff.
But now I sit down, I wait,
and you'll get a slander from somebody. And no, we don't want that. We don't want to hear
congratulations, you played yourself.
That's not what you want to hear.
You don't want to hear that.
You don't want to hear that. But yeah, so I took a break. For those that follow the show religiously, I didn't have a show last week. I think I a lot was going on with me personally at work. Just life, life happens. You get consumed and overwhelmed by it. And I always put my mental before everything else. It's never content over everything. A lot of content creators go by that law, like this unwritten rule that it's content over everything. #COE. I didn't know about that until I was talking to another content creator, and he put me on game. He's like, yeah, it's COE.
Oh,
and I'm like, what's COE?
Yeah.
It's content over everything. And I'm like, nah, that ain't me. It's definitely not me.
Right.
Because like, I come from a place where mental health for a male, especially for a Latino, a Latino male, it was stigmatized. Like it was a stigma that our generations before me couldn't break. And I learned that it is a stigma that I can break. It's like almost like breaking a generational curse.
Right.
Because my father only learned what the tools that his father, my grandpa, had to raise a man.
Right.
And then his father, my great grandfather, only had the tools that he knew he had to raise his kids. So it was just generational, and you could only raise your kids with the tools and the resources that you have.
Right.
From the environment that you come from the neighborhoods that you come from, for the walk of life that you come from. It's all learned behavior.
Right.
And I had to learn that it was learned behavior through therapy. So I learned that I was a yeller and I was an agitator early on because of my father. That was my father's way of communicating. Not all the time, but when he wanted to make a point, or whenever there was a moment of discipline, that's all he knew. So he instilled that in me and my brother. So I just kind of grew an appreciation of a mental day. Sometimes we need those. For you listening out there,
yes,
there is a thing. That's a thing. Mental days are a thing. If you need to call out from work because you're overwhelmed, you're anxious, you're losing sleep, you're losing weight, whatever it is that's hindering you from maximizing your potential, take a mental break.
Do it, yeah. And I think that's what we spoke about last time.
Yeah.
About the importance of putting yourself first. Obviously not to the point where it's affecting, I guess, the people around you or in a negative way.
Right.
But putting yourself first is important. And I like that you brought up the fact that it's because you're Latino.
Yeah.
Because it happens. And it doesn't just happen in our culture.
Black people too.
It happens, in the Black community. And it's hard. It's a struggle for guys. And I see it, and it's sad, actually, because we're already in such a, what we were talking about earlier, fast-paced community. Everybody's on the rush. Everybody's trying to get to the next best thing.
Right.
Everybody's always, I guess, they're not satisfied with where they are. So they think that they have to, work towards something that probably they don't need to, but they think that society is making them.
Right.
And then you get burnt out.
Absolutely. And the worst thing you could do is burn yourself out.
Yep.
Burn yourself out. And a lot of us do that when we take on too much.
Correct.
Yeah. Because sometimes, like, as a man, we try to exercise our alpha, right? Especially the men that that pride themselves in providing and executing and going after it, and running after your dreams, your ambitions, your whatever the case may be. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes especially us Christian men, when we take on too much, when we're just on a go-getter mentality 24/7, 365, you kind of subconsciously or indirectly take God out of the equation.
Right, yeah.
Because God is sovereign, God is provision, God is provider, He is the way, He is your guide, He is your North Star, essentially, when you're lost in the wilderness of this game that we play that we call life. And sometimes when we get caught up in so much of the hustle and bustle of things, we forget that it's God's time, not ours. So sometimes we have to like teeter in that, okay, I'm gonna do work, I'm gonna apply myself, but I also have to be led well, and the person that's gonna lead me is God and not this world, not even a pastor. A pastor can suggest some things and encourage you on some things and even inspire you to do some things, but ultimately it's God who's going to give you that push, and give you revelation, or give you a sign, or even create a miracle in the midst of a chaotic scenario or situation that you may be in. And I think that's very important to always put God first when you're chasing after your dreams, when you're chasing after your goals. Whether it be fitness goals, entrepreneurial goals, goals at your job site, goals at your workplace, whatever goals you want to attain, you got to make sure that you put God in front of it and behind it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think with all of that is that also we expect a lot from men in terms of what they are in a relationship, that they have to be the provider, they have to do X, Y, and Z, I guess, whatever, women want nowadays. And it's like, they're also human. I realize, they're also human. I mean, I see guy friends that struggle with, I didn't even know I did something wrong, but it's because society's like, oh, I have to pay for her rent, I have to pay for her food. And it's like, I'm not even dating her. And she's already requiring so much out of me. And so I think that's hurtful to guys. I mean, I think as women, we have to recognize that too.
For sure.
The same way that men have to recognize that women don't have this like image that society puts, that, they have to be at cooking or cleaning, and, they also have their own goals. So from both sides, we can see the dangers of what society pins on the gender.
And it's difficult to navigate as a woman in today's society, because women do have a natural link to be a nourishing human being, because an actual life force comes out of you when you give birth. So naturally you're going to be nourishing. Naturally you're going to cook whatever the man provides, because usually the man provides the food. Back in the olden days, the man would go out and hunt. And come home with food and the raw materials, and the woman would cook and provide for the family in that way. But both of them are providing it in a way where they can move in a cohesive unit, where I came with the kill, you're cooking, but we can break bread together and eat together and enjoy our meal together. Everything's together. I know my role, and she knows her role. And today's society is a little bit different, and the lines are blurred, because women now are fed up with men. They are taking on men roles or male roles, and then they wonder why they're successful yet they're alone. And women are alone. There are entrepreneurial women out there that I've actually personally spoken to who are alone, and they're in this dating scene where it's like a cesspool to them, because they're in their late 30s, early 40s, very successful, making six figures, and they're alone. And it comes with the gig, because you went out of your way to take on a role where you're an entrepreneur, where you're a provider, where you're breaking bread by yourself or with others, and you are successful in a sense, but you robbed yourself from playing your role as a woman to kind of find your counterpart that you can be evenly yoked with. And it's hard. And I don't know what it's like to be a woman, but I could just imagine how hard that is, because every time a woman plays the role that she's not supposed to, it kind of leaves them in a place where they're just alone.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely essential to look at the relationship as a team and to come together, like you've been saying. And I think that we can take this to the Bible and the book of Genesis, that, when Adam was created, he was looking for, not that he was looking for, but God noticed that he needed someone else, right? Yeah. And that's when he created Eve. And you see that Eve is described as helper. Yeah. Not in terms of like maid and other, whatever, but helper was used to describe either military aid or to use to describe God. Yeah. So obviously the woman's role is essential in a relationship. Yeah. But at the same time, it's not taking away the fact that she has to be like, see herself as like more than like, you're supposed to be there for your man to help them with their day, because of the whole purpose of them thinking that they have to be this like alpha, but giving them the chance to, talk to you, to be there, and for you to nourish. I mean, I think as women, I mean, I can't speak for all women, but since I am one, I can say that I love tending. Like it naturally comes to me to want to help. Yeah. Even though I'm not the best cook. Right. I like to be able to do that, to be able to help. And so I think when two people come together, you have to balance that out, because no one's saying that women don't have to go out and work and to go achieve your goals. But the same way, there has to be like some sort of balance. It's not, I've seen women say, oh, like, I don't have to cook for you. Like, you can go out and, order takeout or something, but yet she's not either working or not, they're not doing anything. So it's not to say that men can't cook or men can't clean. It's just saying, remember from the helper side of it. Like that you're supposed to be there to assist in a way. Yeah. And essentially the man is supposed to lead spiritually, financially. Yeah. And not saying that they don't come together to make decisions for the family, but you also want to have someone that you trust in that decision. It's the same way that men will trust their wife to take care of the kids. Right. It's a form of trust. Absolutely. And so those are roles that you take in, and today's generation has taken away that role. Right. And I'm all for women work. I mean, I work and I will want to continue working. Right. I love having my own private time. I get all of that. But I also know that I do play a role when I am going to be in a relationship and eventually get married. Like I do have a role that God has given me. Yeah. The same way that, my future spouse will. Right. So it's something that I think this generation has definitely lost. Especially in the culture, in the Christian church culture, I think the roles are a little bit misconstrued now because of social media and what's kind of like being plastered in front of us. And with all these shows that are on Netflix, like the Love Is Blind show, the Kardashians are back on Hulu. So they said that they were going to be gone, and I was actually pretty excited. I used to be a Kardashian fan, I will admit. Yeah, it got boring. Right. And so I was happy that they were leaving. I just feel like the messaging was a little bit off too for the younger. With us adults, we understand and we get like this sense of like, okay, we have the wherewithal to know what's right and wrong. Right. Yeah, with a teeny bopper or a preteen watching those types of shows, their minds are still developing and they're very impressionable. So when when a young girl is watching women who are portraying a certain stature in a certain role and treating certain people a certain way, it kind of programs them to think that that's reality. Right. When essentially it's not. It's actually anti-biblical and anti-Proverbs 31 woman. Yeah. And so like it's difficult to kind of navigate through that when you're dealing with young kids and young teens to do. They do say that reality TV is nothing but it's not reality. Yeah, it's not reality at all. Yeah. And I agree. Because I feel like it's made like social media and Instagram and the TikTok world,
it's made dating harder for young adults. I feel like
it has,
because like who does court, like who does, like, you know how like church would say, oh, you know, you have to meet the person and get to know them, but you're not really dating, you're courting. And like before I even came to Christ, I didn't even know what courting was.
I didn't either.
When I was in school, it was like before you were official, you were talking.
We loved the talking stage because it was like everybody loved the talking stage because that's when you were feeling out
you're feeling it out, like is this person for me? Like, you know, so let me ask you this, like in 2023, courting, talking, whatever you want to call it, when you're talking to someone, right now, Camila and Javi, right? Do you consider that like you're off the market?
I do.
Out of respect for the person, right?
I do. And you know what it is?
Someone, I'm not going to mention this person's name because I don't want to do that. But someone said, nah, man, that you're still available because you're not and I'm like, bro, how are you even honoring and respecting the person that you're trying to get to know if you're going to be still for the streets? And you're out here in the streets claiming you're single
it's so crazy that you say that.
Because if I'm talking to somebody, right, and I'm sorry to interrupt, let me finish my thought. Or even you, right, if you're talking to someone and someone says, yo, are you single? You're not going to say, yeah, I'm single, but I'm talking. You're just going to say, no, I'm talking to someone.
Yeah, of course. That's what you say.
Right.
No, I agree. And what I was going to say is that it's crazy as women.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about what it is to be a wife and all of that stuff. You aren't a wife when you get a ring on your finger. Right. You're supposed to be a wife way before that.
Ooh.
Way before that. And I don't know if I'm gonna get some like hate towards it, or it's gonna be like, what's wrong with this girl? But no, you're a wife before.
I am so glad she said this and not me. I am so glad.
You're a wife before it because you know, I can say the same. Men, they have to be husbands first.
Yes, for sure.
Because if you're going and you're talking, courting, whatever you want to do,
and then becomes a relationship,
and you're already, you know, doing things that you wouldn't want the other person to do, you're already doing something wrong. You're already doing something out of character,
right? Because
the whole purpose is, as Christians, I guess we can say as Christians, we technically date, court, talk to marry. So and obviously it doesn't work out. Sometimes you want it to, and you really hope and you talk about a future and it doesn't work out. But that doesn't take the fact that the intention of where you go in is supposed to be, you know, and I've heard a lot of, you know, that's you're asking me to do wife duties and I don't see a ring on my finger. Yeah. I mean, if he's asking to if he's asking to give you a call, you know, you should take the call. Or if he's asking, hey, can you drive, you know, hey, can you drive me to so and so, like, that's your person. It's the same thing as how you treat a friend. Right, yeah. You're not going to deny your friend a ride to the airport.
And I forgot who said this, but I seen it on YouTube. Maybe John Gray, maybe Pastor T.D. Jakes, the bishop, but they said that a lot of young women or young adult women or even women in general who are constantly in this vicious cycle of getting into a relationship and then coming out of one, getting into a relationship and then coming out of one. And it's because they walk in the spirit of not wanting to be a wife. And I'm like, yo, that's so true, because like, and I'm not trying to throw shade at women that are in that journey where they thought they would be in a relationship and they thought that it was going to be a committed one, an intentional one that's going to lead to marriage. Because again, us as Christians, we want we want to be here for a long time, not a good time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it takes work. Yeah. And a lot of us who come out of relationship after relationship after relationship, we're walking in the wrong spirit, is what the pastor was trying to say. And a lot of women find themselves, you know, walking in a spirit of not wanting to be a wife because they're always like in the back of their heads like, oh, well, if he does this or he doesn't do this and he doesn't do this to my liking, then it's not going to work. They're already programmed to be prepared for the separation. Right. Yeah, even before it gets to a marriage, like they're already setting themselves up for failure because they're preparing themselves for the worst possible outcome.
Right.
So then, because it's counterintuitive, because then why are you getting into a full blown relationship with someone? And then like a year into the relationship, you expect to get engaged, but you're already planning your exit strategy. Like why? Because the person yelled at you, or you got into a fight, or things are getting tough, financials aren't making sense. And I understand that getting into a marriage is a business transactional thing. I get that, because we live in America, and and America's a capitalistic.
You have to look at the finances.
Yeah, you got to look at the finances. You know what I'm saying? And it's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's not. I mean,
but it's just tough. But I did have a little debate about that. Like, if I'm talking to someone, so I'm not gonna walk like I'm available to just anyone if I'm talking to someone.
Right.
Out of respect for the girl that I'm talking to. You know what I'm saying? And I would hope that that's reciprocated back.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I don't understand what some people have certain mentalities. Oh, it's not Facebook official, so I'm still in the open market.
Right.
And that's not fair, because then you're playing with people's emotions and feelings.
I agree. But that's society making it sound like it's okay. And it becomes a problem when you, like you said, you're in the relationship with the girl, and the girl's already planning her exit strategy, and at the end you realize, oh, what happened, what went wrong? It was like, simple things, the things that you can solve.
Right.
But people don't want to solve the issues. And I think it also goes in hand with, which actually, now that I just had a thought, there are people that do get married thinking that all of their problems will be solved. Also, don't do that.
Wrong.
Also, don't do that. Because marriage is not going to solve your problems. Marriage is going to do the absolute opposite. And it's just going to bring, I've heard people say, we're getting married. We've never argued. We've been, having the time of our lives. Everything is just in order. If you haven't had a fight yet, do not marry the person. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
And we're not talking about full-blown fist fighting and disrespecting one another.
Arguments.
And cursing at one another and being toxic. But we're human.
Right.
We're going to disagree on some things. I think that there is power in compromise.
Yes.
I think coming to a compromise is a powerful thing, because it lets your partner know that, wow, he cares, or she or he cares for me so much that they're willing to bend a little bit. That will set the tone, and that'll actually establish the culture in your relationship, because now they know that you bended a little bit. And now if they love you back, they're going to bend a little bit too. For example, the typical, oh, I want to go to a theater and watch a play. Maybe the guy's not really feeling it. Yeah. And he's not into plays and musicals, but he loves her so much that he's willing to bend a little bit and have that quality time with his partner and go.
Yeah.
And she knows that. And when she knows that, she'll be like, babe, I'll go to a football game with you. You know what I'm saying? And
I mean, that's it. That's what it's all about, though. Compromise, because you're not going to be with someone that likes everything you like.
Right.
It's impossible. Well, I won't say it's impossible, but you will eventually learn about the other person, and will have to go and do certain things that you might not like to do, and then you'll eventually like them. Seeing your partner happy, that will make you happy.
And guys, also, like, hang around with guys that, like, you look up to and want to have a relationship. Like, if you look at certain, like, I look at certain dudes that are in thriving relationships, I'm like, yo, I want to pick your brain. Like, how do you make it look so seamlessly easy to be married with your wife and remain happy with your wife for so many years? Like, those are the people you want to be around with. You don't want to be around bitter single people that are caught in this vicious cycle, jumping from one relationship to another and bad mouthing the opposite sex. Like, you don't want to be around woman haters if you're a man, or man eaters if you're if you're a woman. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna just be bitter and single, and misery loves company. And I don't even want to jump in that conversation, but you already know what time it is. Like, if you want to aspire to have a thriving relationship. Like, make sure you're around people who are in thriving relationships. You know what I mean? And like, and guys too. Like, I think guys who uplift one another and empower one another is it's a force to be reckoned with. And I think women are the same. Like, because I feel like women are in a way, in many different ways, are smarter, more smarter in the sense of like intellect and like this mystique about them, and they're just smarter and quicker, and they have that sass too. And I think that
they have different characteristics. Yeah, they got like strengths.
Yeah, they got so many different strengths, and you guys are so strong. Like I said earlier, you guys literally push out a life out of you.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would ever be doing that, but like, you guys are smart. You guys are strong in so many different ways that men can't. And so I just applaud that. And I always encourage women, and I'm sure you can second this, that you should be empowering women and not breaking them down.
Yeah.
But it's hard. I feel like it's harder for a woman to do that than it is for men to do that. I think men naturally like to huddle with other guys. I think it's a sports thing or like a macho thing. Like, we just want to huddle around guys and charge and let's take on the opposition. And women are more like drawn back. They tend to get a little catty and territorial, and they're always competing.
100%.
And it's very rare to see a group of healthy women empowering and encouraging one another to take on the opposition.
I will say that the biggest, I guess the biggest problem that women have is other women. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it's men. I don't think a guy online saying, "Oh, you look ugly," is going to affect it's really women arguing with other women and making other women feel bad. I mean, because I've been in friend groups where it's like always nitpicking at everything you do, like everything. Like, you should have done your hair differently, or you should. And it's not even because my hair looks bad. It's because they want to tear me down,
right? Or
I've seen it where they want to tear another friend down. Like, women are against women, and it's really sad. It's really sad. And I think there is this concept of like, men are always like commenting on women's stuff, and it's like, I see it. I mean, I see that men expect certain things from women or certain appearances. Like, we all can't have the hourglass figure,
right? And
we all can't cook perfectly, but I think that women also make it a problem. They're also not as friendly. Women aren't friendly. They're not.
They could. I mean,
they with guys they will be, but they're not friendly. Like,
and this is a perfect segue to that video I wanted to share with you.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're just show it because women just don't want to be friendly with other women.
Yeah, they want to be friendly with other dudes.
They want to be friendly with, and they'll give you like this look of like, I don't know you yet. Yeah. So I'm going to first see how you react to me.
So let's go to this video because I want a Camila reaction to this video. And we're going to share it here on the podcast. For those who are fans of Power, the guy that plays Ghost has a clip on TikTok where he's on another podcast on a different platform and talks about how men operate, how women operate, and basically what we're talking about. And so we're going to listen to this real quick.
But the man's got to rock with the man. Women are brighter, stronger, smarter, quicker, but every smart, stronger, brighter, quicker woman in here would all raise their hand in agreement, listening or viewing this podcast and say it is factual as to what Omari's about to say, and here's the about. That unfortunately, as bright and as quick thinking and as strong and as more powerful than women are, they still interpersonally between women don't rock out the way that men interpersonally rock 100%. They just don't. I'm a guy's guy. I can't erase it.
It's crazy.
Yeah. You know why? Because I see guys like, for example, at church, guys immediately, yo, like your shoes, dude. Yeah. Bro, your shirt. Yeah. Bro, like the haircut. Yeah. Girls. Hey.
Hi.
Hey, hi.
Hey, girl. How you been?
Hey, how was your weekend? Yeah? Okay.
Uh,
What? Like, I look at my friends and I say, you look good today.
Yeah.
Like, you look good. Your hair looks fire. Your hair.
Yeah.
Like, why is that? Or, like, I've been in the room with, like, I'm not liking her picture because she didn't like mine last week.
Wow.
She probably didn't see your picture.
Right.
She really probably just did not see your picture.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that serious, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, women are just in constant competition. I don't know if it's an insecurity thing, because I can be honest. I mean, I've had my moments where I feel insecure and I can see, like, why, but I've never gone out of my way to, like, on purposely, like, try to compete with someone just because I feel some type of way. You know, that's never been the case. But there are women who do that. Yeah. And I can see it because men do a great job at, like, hyping each other up. Yeah,
man. Like, all my guys that I'm with, from the Chris's of the world, from TiVo to Zeke to Caleb, Tyler, Jose, Danny, like, all these are my guys who constantly check in on me. Yeah. They're either by text, when we break bread, when we go out, when we're at church. Yo, Javi, you look like dope shirt. Yeah. Like, Javi, like, you're, and me too. Like, yo, love your kicks, bro. Yeah. But those are dope. I like that shirt. Where'd you get that shirt? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always been like that for me anyway. But there was a time where, I wasn't running in the greatest of circles, and it does become competition amongst men, and who's gonna get the more girls, or who's got the flyest gear. And stuff like that. But now, because with the people that I run with, and the circles that I frequent in, and the relationships and friendships that I cultivate, it's a different type of vibe. Yeah. Like, we're empowering one another, we're equipping one another, and we're definitely encouraging one another. I got threads of text between me and the guys that I just mentioned, and all it is positive. Yeah. Like, if you're gonna have people around you and in your life, it better be a net positive and not a net negative. Like, you cannot have liabilities as people in your circle. You got to have assets. Correct. Because if you become a liability, if you're a liability in my circle, I can't really rock with you. Right. You know what I'm saying? I just really can't. I'm sorry. Sometimes you got to make those tough decisions. Like, again, I always put my mental health over everything. Mm-hmm. And if it's going to put me in a place where I'm like not feeling your energy, and you're constantly bad-mouthing people and being negative and being a cynic and a pessimistic person, I'm not going to rock with you. Right. It's too much. It's just too much, because the world is already negative. Right. Yeah, the world that you go out to is already a negative, cruel, and cold place. Correct. Why am I going to keep negative people in my circle? You know what I'm saying? It's bringing you down too. Like, it will bring you down. Life is too short to be messing with that stuff. Way too short. Way too short. And we're here today and we're gone tomorrow. Mm-hmm. The Bible says we're like, life is like a vapor. We're fragile beings. Yeah. We can like, God, like, I hope that I'm here for a long time and stuff like that, but God forbid something happens to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. I'm gone. I've been saying there's no coming from that. I've been saying that a lot. And this is a great segue, because now we're going to talk about life and being short, and it's going to be a very deep conversation, very emotional. And I told you offline that it was probably going to, like, hit a few heartstrings of me, because I've experienced loss, and the grieving process for me through loss was a very difficult one, because I was a new Christian. I didn't know how to really celebrate life, after life, knowing that they're in heaven, right? Or even conversations when I was little, like, hey, what happens to people when they die? Is there a heaven and is there a hell? And through that, it was kind of like a difficult conversation to have with anybody, because it's just, we're so focused in the here and the now, and we're so focused in the flesh, right? And we don't think of the spiritual side of things, and where we are going to be in eternity, I should say. So it was difficult for me growing up. I didn't experience death really, really young in my family, except for when I was, I want to say when I was like 12, 13 years old. My dad's cousin Monica, she's first of all, she's beautiful. Like she looks like a model. She's like a Barbie, and she married this officer named Tommy, and they were like the perfect Barbie and Ken couple. They were their yin and their yang. They were meant to be, and so it seemed, right? They were very happy. Um, I mean, if you would have seen them, you were like, wow, they were made for one another. And then he gets cancer, and it's really aggressive. And in the 90s, modern science and medicine wasn't as advanced as it is today.
Right.
So chemotherapy was still kind of like a new age thing, and in modern medicine at the time. So the chemotherapy sessions were very aggressive, and long story short, Tommy lost the battle with cancer, and it was devastating to the family because Tommy was like he was just such a joy to be around with.
Yeah.
And granted, he was an American learning a Colombian culture. Wow. And because he loved Monica so much, he wanted to learn so much of the culture. So he would go to all the parties, and he'll try to learn all the dances. Yeah. He'll try every food item more than once. He wanted to be part of that culture. He was just such a bright light. He was so kind to everyone. And this guy, he was one of the top narcotics detectives in Long Island, New York at the time. So he was very, very successful. And he was so humble. Yeah. And he showed all the kids, including myself, mad love. He always played catch and football with us. He dedicated time to spend time with the boys. Yeah. With all of our cousins growing up and stuff. And to have cancer shorten his life like that in such a dramatic and daunting way, it was very sad to see him go. I remember the funeral too. It was open casket, and it was the first time I ever saw a dead body. And it was really creepy as a young kid. As a kid, right? Yeah, of course. It was crazy. But I didn't experience death in my family until I was a young adult in my late 20s. Yeah. And that was my aunt who passed away tragically in a car accident off the Florida Turnpike heading north to Orlando. And it was tough. It was tough, and it was confusing. And your natural thing to do is ask God why, why now, and in that manner, Right. Yeah. So it's definitely eye-opening because it shifts perspective as to how fragile you are in this world. Right. That you can just in a split of a second can be gone. Right. Yeah. Prematurely, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've had, I guess, a similar experience to that. I experienced two deaths. It was from extended family. It was hard, obviously, knowing that someone was sick. And then it was and another one was a family friend, but I treated him as Theo, loved him a lot. Right. That was the first funeral I attended. I spoke. I don't remember if I was in high school or in college, but I remember speaking at his funeral. And that it was my dad's roommate when my dad first came to the United States. And after that, I didn't experience loss. Didn't have, I had my grandparents from my mom's side, and I had my grandma from my dad's side. My grandpa from my dad's side had already passed away when I was very young, so I can't even remember. Yeah. But these past 8 months, I've experienced tremendous loss. Loss in a way that I didn't think was possible. And it's, like you said, things happen in a blink of an eye, and it's taught me how to be so grateful and thankful and live in the present moment, not to worry about things. because I didn't know how hard a loss close to you can feel. The only loss that I felt that was like was hard was when I lost my dog, like the family dog. I had grown up with him, and they said that a loss of a pet is just the same as a family member because they become your companion. So when I was grieving through that, it was whatever. I mean, not whatever, but it was like, okay, I have to go through this. My dog, I'm gonna miss him. And then 8 months ago, we received the news that my aunt had pancreatic cancer. Very tough, very tough. My mom has 4 sisters, and she's the only one that also lives in the States here with us. Not only does she live in the States, but she had lived on the 2nd floor. We lived on the 4th floor of our apartment building. Very close, very, very close. Her kids I treated them like brothers. I treat them like brothers. And she got the diagnosis, and I was very hopeful. Everybody around was, already expectant. The doctors were letting us know that time was, coming soon. But, in my mentality and in my faith, I said, no, God's got this. I'm not worried about this. I know God is going to create a miracle, and he's going to, he's going to make this happen. He's going to get her out of this. And everybody knows that pancreatic cancer, you last a year or 3, if you're lucky. If not, it's months. But I just couldn't get that through my head because I said, no, this is going to be a miracle. I know it. I was declaring it. And I think that churches don't talk about this enough. But you can want something and you can have so much faith and it just won't happen.
Right.
Because 3 weeks later, after we got the diagnosis, she passed away.
Right.
And my life completely changed. Yeah. I was heartbroken. I mean, I was not me. Yeah. I experienced a loss so heavy. I had taken those 3 weeks to take care of her. I would go late to work. Sometimes I wouldn't even go to work because I just wanted to be with her. And the crazy thing is if my cousins are listening to this, they're probably going to be like, what? Is my aunt and I had a very strange relationship. Okay. She was my only aunt here. Okay. Like I said. But we had a very strange relationship. When I was growing up, I used to think that she didn't like me. I thought that she just didn't like me. I don't know if it's because I was the older cousin, so I always was mean to my older cousins, made them play what I wanted to or whatever. And she loved her kids so much that I was like, maybe she just doesn't like. And I would tell my mom she doesn't like me. She doesn't like me. As I grew older, and then as we moved into the same apartment complex, our relationship started changing. At parties we would start dancing together. We would drink our wine together. It's like God knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah. And in those 3 weeks, I showed her how much I loved her. I showed her how much I needed her. I showed her, and right when the day before she passed, I actually had to fly to Peru to take my grandma back to Peru because she had come to visit. Right. And when I get the news that she passed, I hated it because it's like, what do you mean she's gone? Yeah. What do you mean? I didn't say bye to her. Wow. I didn't say bye. How do you, how does, and I got angry with God. Yeah. And people think that being angry with God is a sin. No, it's not. It's the way that you deal with your anger. Right. But I was angry. Yeah. I was very angry, and I let him know that I was angry. Right. Because how is it possible that I had been taking care of her for 3 weeks? Yeah. And when I'm on a plane, when I'm in a different country, she leaves when I didn't get to say anything to her. Right. So it was hard. I dealt with a lot. And I remember for the first 2 months, I cried, I think, every single day. I think I cried every single day on my way to work, on my way back. Anytime that I was by myself, I was crying. It didn't matter. I was crying. And I was angry, and now, a month ago, it was a month ago yesterday, my grandfather passed away. And so for the family, this is a very hard couple of months for my grandma. My grandma lost a daughter. Now she lost her husband. Seeing my cousins lose their mother. I don't know how humans deal with loss. And I don't think, and asking God why, isn't going to help because he's sometimes not going to give you the answer.
Right.
It's that's just how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so then, asking the questions of like, but why did she get cancer if she was such a great wife, a great mom, a great mom, a great daughter, a great sister? Asking that is pointless to the people that are grieving,
Yeah.
And seeing my mom cry to me and, now thinking that she's alone because she doesn't have her sister. And then, and then my grandfather. I mean, these are tough losses, and I don't think it's something that we ever, like, you don't get better at it. You just learn to live with the loss. Because I still think about her, and it's about to be a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's still in the back of my mind. I have her every single day. Something reminds me of her.
Yeah.
And now I really understand this whole process this whole feeling of loss.
Yeah.
Because when you losing something, loss
yeah.
is the act of you not having something of value anymore.
Right.
Because she was a person of value. The people that we lose are people of value.
Absolutely.
And so it's hard. It's hard. And then the grieving process, to learn how to navigate that, everybody navigates it differently. And I've had the honor, I've had the blessing of people asking me that within these 8 months, how have I remained okay, or how have I remained joyful, that people see joy out of me? And the only answer is God. I mean, the only answer is having Jesus, at the forefront. Mm-hmm. Because if it wasn't for him, I don't know where I'd be, to be honest. I really don't know where I'd be.
And I've heard like stories about people declining in life because they didn't know how to really navigate through a loss and the grieving process. They just ran to the world, and the world's gonna lie to you. The world's gonna show you fool's gold and tell you, hey, do this and it'll numb the pain and you'll feel better. And a lot of people will run to the world and end up addicted to drugs, becoming alcoholics, because they couldn't really express themselves or get through the grieving process in a healthy way, where it just became a detrimental moment in their life, where they became an addict, or they became an alcoholic, or they were depressed and became suicidal, and things like that. And a lot of that is because of the lack of faith, maybe even the lack of a relationship with God, not having a higher power, or whatever the case may be. And you hear those horror stories like, so-and-so couldn't handle the pain of losing their sister to drugs. So then they turned to drugs and then became an addict. And it's crazy how you would allow yourself to get to a point where you become an addict, knowing that the very same drug killed your sister,
right?
But you become an addict, and it's just crazy. But that's the lack of God, the lack of a God in your life. And me, when I lost my tia, I call her Titi, but when I lost my tia Maria. That rhymed. I didn't even mean to rhyme.
Was that planned?
But mi tia Maria was, she was just a treasure. She was a gem. She was the fun aunt. She just was the life of the party. She cared for everybody. If she had $1 and you needed $1, she made sure you got the $1. She'll literally take the clothes off her back to put clothes on you. She was just that type of person. She was just full of joy, full of life. Even in her and I'm not gonna say twilight years, because she was relatively young still when she passed. She was still full of life and full of ambition and obtaining goals in her life. She wanted to own a farm in Colombia. She was kind of aiming for that, and she just had so many different plans. And for her to go out the way she did, and for us as a unit, as a family, to lose her in that manner was so devastating. Like, she had like an entire second half of her life ahead of her, and it was just gone.
Yeah.
In a snap of a finger, it felt like. And it was devastating for all of us, but for me, she just had a special place in my heart. And I'm an emotional guy. I've admitted to that plenty of times here on the show.
That's good though. That's a good characteristic to have.
It is. I am learning to navigate through my emotions and lead by the Spirit and not lead by my emotions, because sometimes it sets me up for failure and sets me up for some not so pleasant moments with other people. But I'm an emotional guy, and I remember being at her wake and just talking about all the good times that we had with her and reminiscing on this and reminiscing on that. And I remember talking to my cousins and going, man, our aunt or Dia was over the house like literally a week and a half ago, and she wanted to have a family reunion in a time where there's multiple members in the family and extended family that was beefing and wasn't talking to one another. And she wanted to use that as a catalyst to squash the beefs amongst the people in the family that was having beef. And then she passes away, and everybody came together unanimously, in unison, and started loving on one another. And I looked around the room and I said, my aunt's prayer is answered, because this is what she wanted. And we couldn't see it that way, but hindsight's 2020, like looking back, like that's exactly what happened. Like we got the family reunion that she yearned.
That's a similar
and it's
situation.
crazy that we got it in a place and a time of loss. And it cost her life for us to have that beautiful moment, being in family, being united in that way. And I knew that her spirit was smiling down and really celebrating that. And it's like, it's giving me goosebumps now, but like, man, like there's so much more to life than just what's in the physical.
Correct. And I think I mean the whole thing of loss is that you also start to question, like, oh, you know, I'm never going to be able to say this, I'm never going to be able to say that. And because in the physical we have moments where we have to celebrate. And I've had my fair share of things that I've had to celebrate over this past couple of months. And if I can be very real, I don't want to. Like, I've had friends and I've had, co-worker, whatever the case is that they're celebrating things and they want me to be part of that celebration. I don't want to be part of it because I'm going through something. I'm going through this loss. Because then every single time I'm in this celebratory place, I think my aunt won't be able to be here for when it's my turn to celebrate a graduation or a wedding and it hurts. And you have to ask yourself, like, how do you get that? Because you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be that person that can't celebrate with others. But you giving yourself time to say, she would want me to be happy. She would want me to be doing these type of things. And that that the reason why she's gone is because God had a greater plan. It sounds, for people that aren't believers, it's going to be difficult to grasp that concept. But the same thing with your family, that was kind of a similar way that when my aunt passed, it brought our family together. There were some people that weren't talking to one another. And as soon as she was sick, immediately everybody came together. And we begin to see different sides of everybody that we didn't see before. And, it's going to be, I think, for anybody that is experiencing loss, it's going to be a very long road. And you have to find people that you can talk about it with. Because that's another thing that I realize is that some people aren't going to want to talk to you about loss because it's an uncomfortable subject. As I've been constantly saying this, like, churches really don't even talk about it, I've noticed. And you have to find someone that will be able to be there for you, because all I want to do is talk about my aunt. That's all I want to talk about. Even now, 8 months in, like, I just want to talk about her and like her last days, and how, like, even with all the pain, she had the same sweet, like, charismatic personality that when she was fine,
right,
never complained, never anything. Like, she was just so sweet.
right.
And, thinking of like, and I repeatedly in my head play, like, her telling me that she loves me. And it's like if you don't have someone to talk to about it, you're going to go down a dark hole. Right. You really are.
Sure.
And being honest, if you are a believer, being honest to God of you being upset. I mean, I was honest, and it was hard. It was a hard conversation to have with God. But he lifted me up out of that, because even within my sadness, I find the strength to wake up in the mornings, which at the beginning I didn't want to. I did not want to wake up. All I wanted to do was sleep, because I wanted to forget about it. But he gives you the strength to continue, because it's something it's just, the more that I say the word loss, it's like, it's a really hard concept to grasp. It really is. It really, and I started thinking about, like, if I experience another loss, am I really going to be able to handle it?
Right.
Because how much more loss can a person take in such a short amount of time? And then, because not only then, I also had one of my really good friends, her mom passed away last week. And so then I had to attend a funeral. I've attended 3 funerals in 8 months.
That's crazy.
That's not normal. It's not normal, and I had to come to terms that there's moments of loss. Yeah. There was always Ecclesiastes, there's a time to, be happy, there's a time to be sad, there's a time, I don't know the exact, I'm sorry, I'm not a guru with the verses, but you guys know what I mean, where it's talking about there's a time for everything. Yeah. And I've had to accept that maybe it's my time of my season of loss. Right. And I have to accept it, and I have to be, able to go through it, and be able to be honest.
And loss is such a trigger word for some people, like you losing someone, and the loss of it all is just triggering to a lot of people. But then I just like to remind people too, like, if you read the Bible and you kind of can get into the Word, like the Bible even says, like, that man sees as what is loss, internally we see it as gain. So whenever we look at it as a loss, it's actually a gain, because if you call yourself, I'm sure she was a believer, I would hope that she was, yes. That we can hang our hats in that and say, you know what, she's in a better place. Yeah. So to us, we look at it as a loss, but in eternity, it's a gain. Yeah. She's gained eternal life with our Lord and Savior, and that's a beautiful thing to think about. It's hard to process that, because our human fleshly desire is to keep that person here as long as we can, because we just so focus on the physical so much that we don't tend to the spiritual, right? Which is okay. It's not a sin to kind of process things that way, but I think just to help people out there, because I know there's people that experience some type of loss, whether it be a pet, whether it be a mom, a dad, a sister, what have you. What I've learned through losing my aunt, even after years, because it's been, over 10 years now, I started embracing it as the grieving process and the healing process of it all. Like, embrace it as a journey. Like, just take it as you're on a journey, and you're learning things, and you're seeing things, and your perspectives change, and you start appreciating what life truly is. Yeah. And you start appreciating the little things in life rather than the bigger things that we think we need in life. And I think once you start getting there, you'll start to look at life, and even your own life, a little different.
Yeah, and you'll add value to it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think the people around you, you'll be more, more grateful to have people around you. You'll be able to, now I look at my mom, and there's a different appreciation. I've always appreciated her, but it's definitely taught me to take things, and it's also taught me to apologize to people.
I was just gonna correct you. What do you mean learn me?
Yeah, it is.
Taught you.
I'm sorry. That was like a brain fart.
It also learned me.
It also learned me to no. It taught me to apologize.
Yes, being empathetic and showing grace and sympathy and empathy.
Yeah.
Yes, loss will teach you that.
You just don't know when it's someone's last day, and you don't want to go on thinking that is your last conversation with someone. Just
like what we talked about earlier about my grandfather.
Yeah.
87-year-old man.
Yeah.
And I've before he got admitted to the hospital about a week ago, prior to that, I started being more intentional with calling him, visiting him, because I know he was, dealing with his health, and he had bronchitis about a month ago, and he was dealing with that. So you start thinking like, Grandpa is in his twilight years. He's 87, knocking at the door 90. God bless his heart, and now he's in the hospital. They're doing biopsies of his lungs, and they're draining stuff out of his lungs because he had pneumonia, and it's scary.
It's tough.
It's tough, but it's life.
Yeah.
And it's just the facts of life. We grow, we wither, we get wrinkles, and we grow gray and old. Yeah. It's just
gray, wrinkly, and that's just how it is. But that's also another. Some people don't last that long, and I had to, I had to tell my mom that about my grandpa, 92. Passed away at 92. Told her, you had, your dad lived 92 years old, and
that's a blessing,
and you got to experience him for 50 something years.
Yeah.
It really is a blessing. And I think about, because of my cousins, like my cousin was 16 when my aunt passed, his mom, 16 years old.
Wow.
I mean, I'm about to turn 25 now, and I need my mom now more than ever.
Right.
After everything that
I'm a little older than you, and I don't know what I would do if my mom just wasn't here anymore.
Yeah.
It's a scary thought.
It's a scary thought, and it's gonna happen, and it's like but I think about it, and it's like I have to be grateful. Yesterday, I argued with my mom because like I said, I have a puppy. He's very annoying, very, very annoying, and she was getting frustrated at him, and I was like, we were just yelling at each other, typical Latina household, okay? Yeah. Just yelling at each other, and she got in her room, she was upset with me. I cooled off, I went in, and I was like, I apologized to her. Yeah. I've apologized now very easily, and I mean it. It's not that I just apologize to apologize. I mean it because I don't know when it's my last conversation with somebody.
Oh my gosh,
and it's also not the same. It's not to say that you have to live every day like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose somebody. Yeah. But as of right now, because what I'm going through is that, I've been a little bit more conscious about the things that I say to people, intentionality, checking in on my friends, checking in on the people.
That's a big one.
Checking in on
them. That's huge, guys. Yeah. Huge.
Yeah. Like really asking and telling them, if you have something going on, tell me, because I want to be there for you. Yeah. Like I'm that type of person that, like I've told you, I will drive an hour and a half for anything, 2 hours, 3 hours. Like I will make myself available for you. I love that. That's always how I've always been that way. Yeah. But even more so, like I do it with intentionality, like doing things with that intent. And when my aunt was sick, I did everything with intentional, like the way that I was taking care of her. She needed to, help being bathed, like the nurses would come. I helped, and I did it with all the love and all the care. Because if you don't want to do something, don't do it. Right. Because then it's even worse. Yeah. And that's not just for someone who's sick. Anything, like if you don't want to do something, don't do it because the other person feels it. And I've said that many times to people, like if you genuinely don't want to do something, just say no. Yeah, it's okay to say no. It is okay, because then the other person feels it. Like the other person feels that it's like an obligation. Yeah. And that makes it even worse. Yeah. I'd rather you just say no to me. Right. Than I feel like you're doing it out of obligation. You ever had someone say yes to you and then tell you no later? Yes, I have. That's crazy. I have. Why, guys? Why do you guys do that? Because you already wanted to say no. Why? You already You already wanted to say no. You should have just said it to begin with. Tell me, like, on the, because right then you cause me more stress. Yes. By telling me no, and then I'm like, Okay.
But you told me yes.
Yeah, and now I have to find a solution.
Yeah, bro. Don't do that.
Because then they don't want to find the people that say no.
Yeah.
They don't find a solution for you when they said yes, and then
yeah.
It's
because I've been in situations where people ask me whether it be a favor, whether it be XYZ. When I can make myself available, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna say yes.
Right. Yeah.
And the guys know me, and I know they're watching. It's always yes. Like, I got you.
Yeah.
But when it's a no, like, I'm not going to say yes and then call you later and say, no, I can't, because that's not fair for you. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's just it causes anxiety. It causes grief, whatever it's going to cause. It's just not going to be healthy for you to deal with someone saying no after they just told you, yeah, I'm down to do it. Now they're saying no, and now you're scrambling, trying to figure it out on the fly because you canceled on that person.
Exactly. And especially the last minute cancel, like, don't do that.
Yeah, please don't.
Unless there's an like, I get it, emergencies happen, but there is no reason why you should say no if there's no emergency. Right. And it's like 5 minutes before you told me you were going to do it.
Yeah, it's like, don't do that.
Just don't do it.
Don't do that.
This took a turn, but we needed to say it. Yes. Because some of you just be saying,
because life is too short.
Life is too short.
We don't know when we're going to be here, how long we're going to be here on this beautiful earth.
Which also taught me, take life to the live your life to the fullest.
Attitude of gratitude, guys. Attitude of gratitude. And again, like I said, like if it's going to help any, just literally embrace it as a journey. And a journey is a beautiful thing once you start embracing it. And it doesn't matter how long it takes for you to fully heal from the loss, fully heal from the grieving process. It doesn't matter. As long as you're doing the right things, hanging around with the right voices, with the right circle of people, being vulnerable with the right people, communicating certain things about how you're feeling and how it's making you feel because you remembered your aunt that you lost not too long ago. Like, all those things need to be vocalized. They need to be communicated with the person that you feel comfortable confiding in, whether it be your mentor, your pastor, your accountability partner, your brother, your sister. You have those conversations. Like, dialogue is such a powerful thing.
Communication.
It's such a powerful thing. And I've said this on the show before. Vulnerability, like, what I've learned is that your vulnerability is a gift to that person.
It is.
Like, your vulnerability on the show and with me, that's a gift. And I don't take that for granted. Like, I literally cherish that and I appreciate that, especially when you're driving from Miami. So I appreciate the gift of your vulnerability, because it takes you to open up a little bit to share your raw feelings about what you dealt with the last 8 months. You know what I mean? And then to kind of, tie this up, we're actually having this conversation because we don't know who it would liberate someone. It's going to liberate someone from maybe a suicidal thought, maybe a negative thought, or maybe they thought they were going one direction. Now they see things in a different way. Now they're going to go a different direction. That's my prayer, that this conversation that's gone for over an hour and some change will help someone out there that's listening and saying, that's probably lost a grandfather, a grandma, a dad, a wife, or has lost a kid, or whatever the case may be. Any type of loss is a loss, and it's devastating. And it does something to our flesh. Like, yes, we try to be spiritual. Yes, we try to pray it out and ask God for strength and guidance and peace and comfort that surpasses our understanding. We could pray about all those things, but at the end of the day, we're human. And you articulated that so perfectly. Like, our human side is gonna get mad at God. We are gonna let God know about how we feel. It's not a sin to let God know how we feel about what we're feeling through that loss. So if you guys want to cry it out, man. Because sometimes a good cry
is what you need.
You know what I mean?
It's not, because I think the loss, that's one thing that humans experience, is that loss isn't the way of, when you lose a job, when you have a breakup, when your kid's doing bad in school, when your marriage isn't working, these are all things that are fixable.
Mm-hmm.
Loss in a way isn't fixable because you can't bring the person back. Like, you're never going to feel that
Right.
feeling you had when they were here. So loss is that one thing that we experience as humans, that it's not with a quick, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, I can just get a new job.
Yeah.
I can just get I can't get a new aunt.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
get, she's not replaceable. My
Right.
grandpa isn't replaceable.
But keeping their memory alive is important.
Is important. Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, people that we do lose, we forget.
Yeah.
And we don't do it on purpose. It's just life.
Mm-hmm.
We allow life to forget.
Yeah.
And I try really hard not, even after 10 plus years, I did one thing that was pretty extreme to not forget my aunt, is tattoo her in the back of my arm. So I have Tia Maria tattooed in the back of my arm. So whenever I look in the mirror and I see that tattoo,
It reminds you.
it reminds me of her, and I just intentionally think of like the coolest moment that I've had with her.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make me cry anymore, but it does put me in a place of like appreciation.
Yeah.
Of like, wow, I'm still here,
Mm-hmm.
and I gotta go love on someone today.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not saying go get a tattoo, because I know some of you guys are anti-tattoos, but keep the memory alive. Whatever it is, whether it's a song, whether it's an anniversary,
Or visit them at the cemetery.
yeah, visit them, or even pray. Pray daily and journal. You know, write them and journal about them. It's just so important, guys. So if you took anything away from our conversation today, is don't allow your flesh to put you in a dark place.
Mm-hmm.
Just ask for some type of wisdom, guidance,
Mm-hmm.
and the Lord will provide a peace and a comfort that surpasses your own understanding. So, I think that's my message for you guys. I don't know if you wanted to say anything before we close.
Yeah, just the same. Take it as a journey and really find the good in things and be joyful, like really joyful, not in that happy circumstantial,
Mm-hmm.
but find joy through it all, because it's what's gonna get you through it. So I mean, that's it. Just experiencing, honoring them, and making sure you're talking to somebody.
Yes.
Don't let it go. Don't let yourself go into that dark hole.
Yes, reach out to someone. Reach out to me if you have to. So, but thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're
for
the
having
best.
me.
You're coming back soon. I know it. But again, guys, if you're new, go ahead, subscribe. Check me out on Spotify, Apple, Instagram. The links are below. I try to do it every Wednesday night. I'm dropping new episodes unless I'm taking a mental day, because it isn't content over everything. I put my mental first before this show. But I love you guys. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for sharing, liking, subscribing. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye.